Last May, I spent my summer working in the brand new Geospatial Database Office of the DENR under USEC CP David. Now, this new GDO office is comprised of the Philippines' most bright and scientific minds, all geared towards mitigating the different effects of climate change. In this video, we're going to be interviewing USEC CP David, who runs this new agency, and how the different projects and long-term goals of this new agency is going to affect young people, just like you and me. Find out more on Ikaw, Ako at Gobyerno.
Hi everybody, I'm here with Undersecretary CP David from the DENR, and we're going to be asking him a few questions. So, USEC David, what are some projects specifically under integrated environmental science that you guys do here at the DENR?
Okay. So Rafa, the office that I handle is just one office out of multitude of offices under the DENR. In fact, the whole department is 40,000 people strong. But our office is quite unique because our approach to environment and natural resource management is science-based. And the first step in any science-based approach is to gather all the data. Because you cannot manage anything without knowing how much and where these resources are. So we use a lot of geographic information systems tools, GIS tools, a lot of remote sensing or satellite imagery. We gather information on our forests, biodiversity, water, mineral resources, and land resources.
And Tito, here in the Philippines, what are some of the most important things that we need to address right now in the DENR?
Okay. The first thing I realized after working for a couple of months in DENR is that our country is so rich with natural resources. It's just that a lot of times we do not know that they exist. We are highly mineralized. The second largest copper deposit in the world is in Mindanao. In terms of nickel, which is a critical mineral for producing electric batteries and EVs and so on, we are number 2 as well in the world in terms of production. So this was our motivation for us to be able to determine where all these resources are. Not to mention biodiversity. We are at the center of biodiversity in the world.
And USEC, what are some of the things that our government is doing? We have all these resources. What are different things that we're doing in order to use this to our benefit?
So for the past year, we've been quantifying all these and locating them. The next step really is to bring in all other sectors of society to, number one, invest in developing these mineral resources and other natural resources. And number 2, get them into protecting the environment.
So USEC, how can these projects improve and protect our land here in the Philippines?
Well, we can only protect something that we know that exists. And therefore, for example, just to give an example, our forest is a major asset of the country. And we would have to know where they are, what is the state of our forest, are they denuded, are they intact, and so on. The second step is to bring in all other stakeholders to help in protecting our forests. So that's just for forest. For water resources, this, I believe, is our main asset as a country. As Filipinos, we look at it as a disadvantage up to this point in time because when there's too much rainwater, it causes flooding, traffic, it damages our crops, and so on and so forth. But it's the same water that actually powers our irrigation system for food. It's also the same water that we drink, same water that we use for aquaculture, ecotourism, even hydropower. And therefore, we have to harness all these resources for economic recovery of the country.
Yes, and of course, we can't all do this alone. So who are some of your counterparts within the DENR?
Within the DENR, everyone is working together, and we have 6 bureaus, and each bureau is in charge of a particular resource. The Forest Management Bureau in charge of forest, the Mines and Geosciences Bureau is in charge of the minerals, and so on and so forth. But the department cannot do this alone. We have to work with our counterpart departments in government, like the Department of Trade and Industries. For funding, we need the Department of Finance. And outside of government, the private sector is very important. They are key in terms of driving the development of these resources as well as protecting our environment.
Now, Yusek, it takes so many people in order to, achieve these goals that the DENR has.
Yeah.
So how can the youth, for one, get involved and sort of help?
So the youth will play a very important role. And the first step in engaging the youth is, of course, educating them of how important our environment is. The youth has to understand that when we save the environment, we are actually saving ourselves. And that is a prime motivation for someone who is not as aware as why we need to protect all biodiversity, for example. If it means that it will also mean my survival, then that's, I think, a more stronger message for the youth. The youth will become our leaders in the future, and the future will inevitably be determined at this point in time, whether we are able to protect the environment at this point in time so that there are resources that future generations will be able to use later on. The youth has to play an important role at this point in time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, Yusek, what are some major projects in your office that you're working on?
Okay. For the DNR, the biggest project that we're working on is called the National Greening Program. This is 2.4 billion pesos per year. And the objective of the NGP, as it is called, is to have our forest recover. Our goal is to add 1% of forest cover, if possible, per year. And that's a lot because we have close to 22% of the entire land area of the Philippines as covered by forest. So adding 1% of that is a huge task. Of course, doing that is also kind of a challenge because as you reforest, there are groups that actually do deforestation, whether they're converting it for agriculture or they're cutting trees for lumber or maybe even for their own livelihood. So you're going against deforestation at the same time that you are trying to reforest.
Natural resources play a pivotal role in the Philippine economy. However, this is heavily threatened by rapid urbanization, climate change, among other things. Under the helm of Undersecretary CP David, the projects of the Geospatial Database Office are ensured that our country's natural resources are sustainably managed.